Hello, and welcome back to Fatal 12. On the last episode, we finally returned to a timeline where Naomi's alive. We found out what she knew, what she didn't know, and I guess now we're just trying to find out what Miharu is planning. That's kind of all I can really recap on, to be fair, so we just want to get into it. It's the final 6. We're halfway through. Anyway. All I'm doing right now is speaking of a scenario I want to see happen. That's why Miharu brushed me off. I doubt she'll only fill me in on the bare minimum, like she did previously at least. Either way, I intend to do things differently as well. I'll find out how to change fate for us, no matter what. Mihiru's already determined to make nothing but progress. She has been since the divine selection began. The same has applied to me now. I don't want her lying for my sake anymore. Did things go well? They weren't how you were. Wait? They weren't how you probably worried they would. My response leaves her a bit surprised. I'm aware of how smart Naomi is. There's no doubt she realized that what we were arguing over. It's even more reason for me to find a way for both of us to survive. It's not like I don't have any leads. Take this book for example. I never paid much attention to it, thinking it's just a tool for the divine selection. But it might be worth having a deeper look at its design and binding, that sort of stuff. Its design is pretty basic. It is of gears, and that's about it. What would you gain from doing so? Information regarding divine selection, rather the goddess behind it. We've been so focused on the dream world and the events in the real world being altered that we simply accept everything about it. We never once tried to go against the rules because we let ourselves be convinced that we shouldn't. I mean, is there rules really? There's objectives, but what are the rules? I mean, speaking further, is there any actual requirement to vote anyone out for the 12 days? So what if all 12 of us could have just waited 12 weeks? And just made it to the day we all are supposed to be at a certain area. In reality, though, we should let ourselves question the very nature of divine selection. I guess we should research Parker, too. I'm not too familiar with ancient myths and stuff, but there might be something about her. I should be able to help with that. I actually did some research myself based on her claim to be a goddess. I figured I might as well find something useful. I walked away convinced about that myths are just myths in the end, but we might find something and will come in handy now. Okay. Naomi whips out her notepad and flips to the first few pages. That's how long ago it was, okay. She must have written stuff down while researching. Well, obviously that's an effective way to research, I guess. I say that as someone who does not research. After reading through them a bit, she turns her attention back to me. Parker is a generic term used with the fates of Roman mythology. Okay, well, now I'm interested because obviously I'm more of a fan of the more common Greek and Norse mythologies. So I know Roman's supposed to be a semi-parallel to Greek. That's about it. There are 3 in total. Dakuma, I'm assuming, Nona, and Morta. Each exists in an equivalent to the Moirai from Greek mythology. Okay. I don't know who the Moirai is, so egg on my face. Apparently they decided the individual... Are they not just the... Yeah, Weavers of Fate. What's the... Or is it just the Fates? I think is how they're always referred to. But I know there's 3 of them. Apparently they decide the individual fates of each person at their birth and when they cut the strings. That's what that's close to what Parker said in the Dream World. What's more, both of them, both the court and the clock of fate are there. The Dream World itself is filled with clock and gear motif. The numbers given to each participant coincide with those on analog clock too. So could this be done in a 24-hour clock, a digital clock? That would be an interesting... I think if... I doubt anyone would ever make a sequel to this, but could be a twist added for the sequel. Time. Greek's mythology's Chronos is the most well known when it comes to the deities related to that, I believe. Parker said that out of our 3 cards represent the past, present, and future. Or is it present, past, and future? Either way, I don't know. Why would you start with present, equal past, present, and future? That's the order things came in. Does it mean fate is represented through time itself? That reminds me, the card book has gears on its design, doesn't it? A number of gears within a clock, yes. In that case, it's possible to make the connection from gears to clocks and clocks to time, and finally to fate, right? You even see expressions like the Wheel of Fate in books sometimes. Is it the Wheel of Fate? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's Wheel of Fate. I had to think about that for a second. But now we're getting into the brainstorming stuff. This is what I'm here for, I think. A lot of other times, not exactly the most intuitive, but I'm picking up the pieces that Naomi's putting down. Good thing we revived her. Anyway, well, that only helps us understand the motif behind the dream world. Doesn't really feel like we've gotten near the core of the matter. True. Hang on, don't you think it's a bit odd for the dream world itself to have a motif at all? I wouldn't have guessed it, to be fair. But it sounds like you're implying it's a physical place that we're actually going to. Do you think it's something? Not quite, but Parker claims to be a goddess, correct? Why would she design something to comply with the motif of a regular human would think of? Because it helps us perceive it that way? Or are you saying that Parker's not a god? She explained that the dream world was designed in order for us to be able to perceive it, because we can't understand it, can't under normal circumstances. Okay. If that's the case, then it only makes sense that it'd be full of stuff that we'd normally associate with fate and the like. So is it a bit like the Wizard of Oz? Are we supposed to look behind the curtain? Are we supposed to see what we can't, in quotations, we can't perceive? Is that why? Or are we looking behind the curtain? We just made the connections there ourselves, in fact. Plus, one personal perception plays a vital role in the contents of one's own cards. That makes sense, but sorry, something just feels off despite you making a good point. No need to apologize. Don't forget that feeling. Us participants didn't question any of the stuff. I mean, did we have time to? She kind of rushed us into things. Actually, that's actually not true. The only time we were questioning stuff was at the very beginning. The only time we were allowed to, I think. So I've just defeated my own point. Naomi nods, but it still looks somewhat apologetic. I can't quite understand what she must be feeling, in all honesty. Chances are part of me is still convinced there's no point overthinking things because Parker is a goddess. And here I was telling myself I'd quit that sort of thinking not long ago. It didn't prove to be useful after all. I disagree, actually. Don't say that, it's not true. I should have figured something was far sooner. Yet Naomi here was the one to go ahead and do the research before I even noticed. I mean, isn't that why she's not in the game? She died in the same accident we did. But yeah, we were the ones who were dragged into the game. I guess we should wrap things up today. Want to come with me in the library after school tomorrow? The library? I'd love to. Thanks. We'll start with a card book first. It's already dark outside, so I walked Naomi to the station. She said she'd be fine, but Odette knows all about the Linehouse. Which means Alan's probably knows too. Would Odette really let Alan have that? To be fair, Alan probably knows for a different reason entirely. I can't see them focusing their efforts on me at this point, but even so, I'd rather not let Naomi walk around at night on her own. I mean, fair enough. There's also the fact she can die still. It could be entirely unrelated to the game, which means we can't revive her. How many times must I repeat myself? Stop calling a regular high school student out to a shady place like this, especially when they're on their way home from work. I'm exhausted, keep it brief. I mean, she's got a point. She really does have a point. Work, huh? You should quit that crazy joint. Looks like there's plenty of night jobs around here that pay better too. Did you forget our name? Not a name, our age? I don't know why I said name. Maybe it's because I'm too used to the I and the A the other way around. I'm too used to Miharu instead of Miharu. She's not doing it for the money, Federico. It's the atmosphere that keeps you there, isn't it? It's the atmosphere that makes me want to quit, actually. Huh. I'm not even going to try to understand it. Yeah. Miharu finds herself a milk crown once more. Skill and Federico are perched at their usual seats. Naturally, Odette is nowhere to be seen. I mean, yeah, I kind of understand where Miharu's getting to, because, like, from anyone else's perspective, there's a high school kids going to a bar with two grown men, and I mean, they were previously seen together in a maid cafe. It's kind of creepy. Might ask where Odette is. Miharu heard the details from Rinka, but opted to play the fool. This is their first gathering since Odette had told them to leave the heavy lifting to her. Miharu finds herself curious about the two parties' exchanges between them and today. Surely you're keen enough to realize she defected. What's more, she took the information I provided and used it to eliminate you. All while cooperating with your friend, too. She probably worked together with Alan. What makes you say that? Just a hunch. Rinka can't fight her way out of a paper bag, can she? Backgammon didn't sit well with Miharu, but she lets Federico continue. The news was talking about some dude that got shot but disappeared. Alan's the only one who could have pulled that off. I mean, out of the 6 people left, yes, sure. Good point. That leaves us with the issue of whether or not Odette and Alan are still working together. Rinka may be as well, but we probably don't need to worry about her. Could swing either way, really. Odette had nothing but praise for his information network. His? Oh, Alan's, yeah. I had to think about that for a second. I don't know why. I don't know, I just feel like I'm not on the ball today. That's gonna be fun. Well, that makes their elimination our top priority. I mean, obviously, they're physically better than, like, everyone, and smarter than everyone, besides maybe skill on Miharu. I mean, because the only thing that makes, like, Rinka smart is that she's the protagonist of the story, I guess. I mean, because we've played as Miharu, but we've also played as Federico. But we played as Federico second. So would he technically count as the second protagonist? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't consider both of them as. I know there's a term for, like, groups of, like, 2 and 3, or person 2 and 3 for as the protagonists of stories. But I wouldn't consider people we're looking at as protagonists. Neither Alan or Odette either, obviously. But anyway, scale Federico and Miharu versus Rinka, Odette, and Alan, which I've been saying for the past 2 videos. Because, I mean, I'm a fan of elimination games. Anything where the number slowly dwindles down. That is the situation those two are imagining, but Rinka knows this isn't the case. It's more like, Rinka knows... Miharu knows it's more like Scale and Federico versus Alan and Odette versus Miharu and Rinka. Yeah, what I just said. There are 3 teams, not 2. Scale and Federico, Miharu and Rinka, and Odette and Alan. 2 versus 2 versus... What? Hold on, am I able to scroll back? I keep asking. 2 versus 2 versus 1. Is it because you really don't include yourself in that number? Miharu's goal is to obscure Rinka's participation. Okay. That sounds very self-sabotagey. Taking them both at the same time seems like a recipe for disaster. I can tell you that his cause of death right now, but you still have no leads on his regret, correct? I went through all the public statements and interviews with him so far, but it's as you say. I've been looking into his personal life, but right now all I've got is information about his family. His family? His mother died of an illness while he was young, and his father was murdered when he was 16. Murdered? How'd that happen? His father was running a small jewelry business on his own. He'd buy one ore from the mines within India and sell it off to the manufacturing companies themselves. I'm not sure if it was the money that changed him or not, but he started to get greedy at some point. He started to loan money out to those who wanted it. And well, moneylenders aren't exactly the nicest people in the world. It's easy to say that he was a loan shark more than anything else. It's how bad it got. So basically someone with a grudge smoked him. It's his own fault for getting it done then. Or getting done in then. Federico claimed held extra weight because he had done the same work as Alan's father during his days in the Mafia. Skill shrugged in agreement. Well then, Miharu is able to establish the link between the information and the cause of death she is privy to. Okay. Alan exploits in using his father's connections after that to build up his company and make a fortune. All while in his teens. Are pretty well known. Speaking of his family, he currently has 4 younger brothers and 1 sister. His income is what's supporting them, it seems. Okay, so maybe that is linked to his regrets. Because he has 4 younger and 1 younger sister, so a family of 6, I can count, yeah? Yeah. 5 brothers, 1 sister, there we go. So, Miharu knows the cause of death. I'm confident that his regrets can be related to his siblings. Wouldn't that make his family his regret then? Well, it depends on the details. Don't we need to know the exact thing? I figured that myself, but no dice. That's all I have intel-wise. I've already tried stuff related to his business and fortune, but nope. You're all I got here, man. His family definitely seems suspect. I won't promise anything myself, but I've already got a bud on the case. He'll get a hefty reward out of it, so I can't see him not coming through. One of your buds, huh? Oops, can't risk revealing my own information here. Think of them as a journalist of sorts. Uh-huh. So that's linked to his information, his cards. Maybe his regret. Maybe his cause of death. Yeah, that's actually... Because one of the cause of deaths we've seen is only Rinka's, which is... Not necessarily... Well, I don't want to... Obviously, it's a terrorist attack, but... It was murder as well. But what happens if one of the participants is murdered and that's their cause of death? But obviously, since the divine selection it was undone, does that just mean the gun jammed, or did they defend themselves, or? Oh, that's. Sorry, I'm distracted by, well, morbid thoughts, I guess. Yeah. So, I guess I'll be keeping his cause of death to myself for now. Huh? Why's that? My position is no different from Rinka's in the other group. You can cut me off with ease if you think I've outlived my usefulness. Only natural to think like that. It's fine with you keeping it to yourself until we uncover his regret. Makes it easier to proceed knowing we don't need to worry about his cause of death. Guess us two gotta put in the work then. I'm aware. You're going after Odette, aren't you? It must be tough going up against a former comrade. You sure know how to annoy people, don't you? Not as bad as Odette, though. Anyway, I've already figured out her cause of death. Really? How'd you manage that? Last night, something came to mind when I was looking at my wounds. Can't spell the details since it's related to my own info, but both of us were in the same place when we died. That is actually true. A lot of characters seem to be in the same location when they died. Federico and Odette were overseas. You and Rinka were on a train in Japan. But everyone else was alone, presumably, because we have Poe, the first person with a name that we saw that died. Keiko was alone in a hospital, giving birth. Presumably Alan was in India. Miharu, I'm assuming, was in her house. Well, it might not just be her house, but she was on her own, we know that much. Let's be fair, her cause of death was heavily hinted to beforehand. What else am I thinking of? Oh yeah, there was Sonia, I think that was her name. The little girl from Russia. She died of an illness on her own in Russia. Anyway, I'm too busy theorizing instead of going through the actual video. She had a big wound on her stomach back then. As you saw, the wounds were gone when the divine selection kicked off. Easy to assume what a cause of death. That was a cause of death. Federico takes out a card from his book, allowing both of us to glance at it. It contains the following: blood loss. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. She wasn't killed from a one-hit knockout. She got wounded, survived, but couldn't make it any further. Mira and Skill are unable to obtain the card themselves, however. Both understand this is due to their lack of knowledge of how it came to pass. I'm rather amazed you've got about that until now. But it's hard to remember the important stuff when you're stuck around that beast all the time. Is it though? I think if anything, why? I've only just looked up at Skill's face. Skill's angry. But why is he angry? I don't know. You were both in the same place when you died. Wouldn't it be safe to assume she knows your cause of death as well? Yep, I figured that much. I can guarantee she doesn't know my regret, though. Wouldn't make sense if she did, but opted not to elect me during the last election after I stabbed her in the back. That does make sense. More importantly, you said you've got a lead on her regret, right? I recall you saying that, too, Federico. Federico has a good chance of electing her at this rate. Would you mind revealing this info to us? I do keep in mind that I only mentioned having a lead. I don't have a solid idea of what it is. This is probably the best time to reveal it, so I'll go ahead and do so, if you're fine with it. I'm fairly sure it's related to the concept of her child. Didn't know she had a child. Miharu makes sure to explain her reasoning. Sophia, that's who it was, not Sonia. Sophia served as the trigger for this line of thought. Odette granted her the opportunity to see the world for herself. she never had to do such a thing. She simply could force the information out of Sophia then and there. The risk of Sophia revealing her information did exist, but Odette could have handled that in a number of ways. Instead, she chose the most inefficient and yet compassionate route. Sophia trusted that the decision of hers. What? Sophia trusted in that decision of hers. I'm just not having a. My intelligence is showing to be lacking, but I'm still enjoying it. Miharu is aware of that Sophia was wise beyond her years. She wouldn't have believed Odette so readily. It would have been noble to assume Odette would break her promise immediately. That was the part of the puzzle that just didn't fit. One that led Miharu to a certain theory. Sophia understood that Odette was being compassionate, not by instinct, but because she knew Odette's regret. Pretty sure I mentioned this before. She's not the type to act based on emotions, not logic. She'd turn down or accept work based on them. That's quite the interesting theory, though not quite enough to make God appear just yet. You seem so angry, Scale. Why? It's mostly based on circumstantial evidence. What I'm about to say is now my own conjecture. Odette's the type not to let others decide how she lives her life. Is that right, Federico? You weren't going to find many people who refuse to take orders the way she does. Federico gives a clear answer and a deep nod. Gil rests his chin on his hand. He seems to follow Miharu's implications. When he catches Miharu's gaze, he offers his own thoughts. She's unmarried and has no children, as far as I know, but assuming a child is linked to her regret, then it might be the case of her not being able to give birth, perhaps due to physical complications. However, no card manifests from his conjecture. Gale remains convinced that they're on the right track regardless. Maybe she had a child, but lost it. I don't know. Because we didn't see her interact with Keiko, who had a child. We've only and we haven't seen her interact with Sophia. We've only heard the consequences of her acting with Sophia. We're missing something, but I'm pretty confident we're on this is a good lead to follow. Alright, I have something to dig up on Odette's clinical records. Should be fine to stick purely to maternity and gynecological gynecological exams. Okay, it's the best I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna try to stick with that word because my IQ is rapidly declining, apparently. That tells things then. I'll be going now, so get in contact when you find something out. And as I said before, I'd rather avoid coming here too often. Wait. I don't mind if we go somewhere else, but so how about wait. I don't mind if we go somewhere else, so how about we keep hanging out? Ain't no problem if you leave in the morning. Are you hitting on Miharu? You're a scumbag, you know? Yeah, gotta agree with her there. Miharu should shoot Federico. Not Luke. Just pulls out a gun. He can't die, so there's no problem to it. She has no idea that both of the men wind up drinking till morning. Is that a good idea for Skill? Because Skill's annoyed and angry. That's all I've ever seen him do every time I looked up from the text. Naomi's alive. She's really alive. I still can't get over how happy I am. I saw her die right before my eyes, but here I am able to see her alive and well once again. It's nothing short of a miracle. But at the same time, Yu's remorseful cries after I elected him have stuck with me. Those were his earnest feelings. I even experienced the scene of his death. Both of us died on the train, but the manner of which we passed differed. I already made up my decision, though. Those memories aren't enough to stop me now. I don't regret my decision. His life has served as a stepping stone I need to propel myself forward. Let's see here. Linehouse will be back in business starting tomorrow. I've gotten in contact with my gran about the logistics and I sorted out all the order requests. Oh, required. Sorry. It's my brain already thought about it, only saw the word after I'd already skipped past it. All I have to do now is go to bed, but I keep futzing with my phone. I want to talk to my granny for a bit. Mainly because I have nowhere else to turn to funnel all the feelings I've experienced for the past several weeks. She did tell me that it's fine to spoil myself once in a while after she noticed how little I let myself cry in front of others. I should be able to get away with it, just for today. Yeah. We ended up talking longer than anticipated. I think on a positive conversation with Gran is a decent place to end it. Interesting information about Odette, really. I think that's the only thing that came from this episode. So, well, I guess there's also the idea of Parker being part of the Greek pantheon. But we'll have to read more to find out. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I can see you in the next one. With that, goodbye.